Welcome back, guys, or if you're new to my channel, this is Automotive Anonymous, and that's the brand new 2025 Subaru Forester Hybrid. And while it is one of the best compact crossovers you can buy and the newest hybrid on the market today, it's not perfect. It actually has 7 detrimental flaws, 7 main design issues that we need to talk about that are keeping people from wanting to buy one of these. And these 7 issues come from actually being a 2025 Subaru Forester owner myself. After about 10 months, I've experienced a lot of these. And after now driving and reviewing 2 of the 4 hybrid trim levels and hearing from you guys in the comments about what you like and what you don't like, there's going to be 7 main things that come up, 7 main reoccurring topics that I want you guys to be well aware of if you are new to the hybrid Forester and you are considering one, because I want you to know what you're getting in for before you sign on the dotted line and before you take it home and realize that some of these things might not be things that you can get past or live with. So today we're going to get into the 7 main issues of the hybrid Forester, and if you get anything out of this video, please consider liking it. Comment your thoughts and opinions below. Subscribe if you haven't already. Otherwise, let's get right into it. The first main issue is one that I personally am not happy about, but it's also probably the most recurring topic on any of my hybrid Forester videos, and that comes with what's in the hatch. First of all, something that you guys often haven't actually mentioned is the Forester Hybrid loses a lot of cargo capacity, and it's actually the smallest of most of the hybrids in this class. This one, being a hybrid, having the battery pack underneath the seats, only has 27.5 cubic feet of room. Meanwhile, my Toyota RAV4 Hybrid has about 37, or even the Honda CR-V Hybrid has about 34. So you're down at least 7 cubic feet compared to those other ones, partially because the battery is under the cargo area. So the most recurring topic, the most recurring thing I hear from you guys is your discontentment with the fact that the battery pack is under here. The 1.1 kilowatt hour takes away from a spare tire, and where the Subaru Forester historically has been the most off-road capable compact crossover unibody vehicle, it now only has a fix-to-flat kit. It doesn't even have, let alone a matching spare tire, but even a donut spare tire. And that's a big turnoff for a lot of people. Some of you guys, and myself included, our stories, our situations are we've never had to change a tire on the side of the road. And after driving a few 100,000 miles, that's awesome. I hope I never have to. I hope you guys never have to. But still, if you are going to take this off-road, if you are going to enjoy it on gravelly adventures like this, there's a lot of peace of mind that you really can't put a price on by having a spare tire. And unfortunately, this vehicle no longer has one. My second issue with this is that it's only rated for 35 around town, 34 on the highway. You can see after about 6 miles of driving, I have been able to average about 48, so it is possible to far exceed the EPA ratings, mostly around town. That's going to be a lot harder to do at the highway speeds. And I own a RAV4 Hybrid, so I've experienced a lot of highway driving now. And so some of the things that I speculate about this platform after owning a Toyota Hybrid is, first of all, you're only actually getting 2 mpg better on the hybrid than the non-hybrid, so you really aren't going to get a lot of benefit out of this if you mostly drive highway and interstate miles like what I do. My RAV4 will probably never break even, and it would take a long time to do so if it ever does, and that's with me changing my driving habits. But this one, being rated for 35 around town, that is 7 or 8 better than a non-hybrid, and I do think that's pretty doable. But keep in mind, when it's freezing outside, if it's 0 degrees, if your HVAC's running all the time, you probably will still get very similar MPG to a non-hybrid, probably 25, 26 around town. And that's just because of the physics. The EV system really hurts in cold weather, and that's what I've experienced. But around town, in perfect granny-like driving, you can actually get quite a bit better. I just don't understand why this hybrid system only gains about 7 or 8 around town. Meanwhile, the Toyota RAV4 Hybrid, it goes from 27 mpg for a non-hybrid to 41 hybrid. So you're gaining 14 mpg around town in a Toyota RAV4, but you're only getting 7 or 8 in the Forester. Meanwhile, the prices are about the same, so MPG is a little bit different. And I know a lot of that comes from the fact that this has a better all drive system, and it's all the time. It's not just an electric motor turning on and off, but that still is a big discrepancy. About 6 mpg difference between this and the Toyota RAV4 Hybrid. The third issue is the powertrain. Even though it is still very much a Subaru longitudinally mounted, top mount oil filter, all the reservoirs, all the periphery, all the easy maintenance items on it, it is the opposite of class leading. With a 2.5 liter boxer engine that does run an Atkinson cycle, which is good, it's only rated for 194 horsepower, and that's paired with a 119 horsepower electric motor. So while this might be a half second faster 0 to 60 in my area at some altitude compared to a non-hybrid Forester, it's, again, the opposite of class leading. It's a lot slower than the CR-V Hybrid and the RAV4 Hybrid. This does a mid to high 8 seconds 0 to 60. Meanwhile, those vehicles, at least the hybrid RAV4 like mine, can do a 7.6 seconds 0 to 60. So I am glad that it still has a 2.5-liter boxer engine, and the electric motor gives it a lot of low-end torque to launch across intersections and across streets like highway roads and stuff. But it is not class leading in power delivery, and that's a shame. I think Subaru could have done better than 194 horsepower or only 14 horsepower more than a non-hybrid Forester. Point number 4 is also powertrain related, but it's less about the power and more about the drivetrain. So Toyota owns about 20% of Subaru, and a lot of the electric components, the CVT, the electric motors, a lot of that originally kind of came from Toyota on this collaboration, and then it was tweaked. It was designed differently for the Subaru application to work with a boxer engine and to work with a symmetrical all-wheel drive system. But why did Toyota not work with Subaru? Why did Subaru not demand that they get some D4S, which is dual port injection? This is a direct injection boxer engine, and while most vehicles these days are direct injection, where you direct the fuel from the fuel injector right into the cylinder wall, rather like in the old school method of making a port injection vehicle where the fuel goes into the port before the intake valve and then it goes in with the air mixture. That way, you can clean out the back of the intake valve because the fuel helps to clean the back of the valve. But when it's direct injection, it is more efficient, but you can get some really filthy, really carbon built up intake valves. And I don't know that that's necessarily going to be a problem for 100,000 miles, but it eventually could be. Something like the Toyota RAV4, which also has an Atkinson style engine, they designed their engine block, they designed their hybrids to run D4S to have dual port injection. So not only is it just as efficient or more so, but it's also going to be a more reliable system in general. And then my other main gripe or concern for this platform is if a lot of the electric components came from Toyota, why does this have a 1.1 kilowatt hour battery pack? Meanwhile, the Toyota RAV4 has a 1.6 kilowatt hour battery pack. So if you only have maybe 2/3 of that as usable kilowatts you can use, this can't go as fast in EV mode. It can't drive for as long in EV mode, and it has a smaller battery pack. So I feel like they could have easily justified that, easily given this the 1.6 battery pack kilowatt hour, especially if they're already going to take up the trunk space. Heck, they could have even gone bigger. And I will say that our Toyota RAV4 hybrid can drive up to 40, sometimes higher miles per hour in EV mode with a good charge when we're going on a flat road and being really light on the accelerator. But I would be hard pressed to expect this to go more than 20 or 25 miles per hour in EV mode, just based off of the physics of it. Issue number 5 relates to the power delivery of this vehicle and what it's like to actually drive. This is still the off-road capable compact crossover, can easily go on and off-road. But when you are on road, it just doesn't have the power delivery that you would expect, and it doesn't match the competitors like the CR-V and the RAV4. So full throttle here, I mean, it's more than it needs to be loaded down, but it did take a little bit of time to kind of build up the pressure when we don't do a boosted launch. And at speed, doing 30, 40, 50, 60 rolls of acceleration, it really doesn't feel much better than the non-hybrid, because at that point, sure, you're making 14 more horsepower, which is maybe 7% more power, but you also weigh about 300 pounds more, so you really kind of mitigate the power difference because of the extra weight at speed. That's why this only feels faster around town and not at speed. And some of you guys who have driven these at sea level, you've reported that because of the extra weight, it doesn't actually make enough difference, and these aren't any faster on your own testing. Part of the difference, though, is I'm at almost 4,000 feet of altitude, so all gas engines lose a lot of horsepower when they're this high above sea level, but electric motors, they don't lose any power. So I have less, 162 basic horsepower from this 2.5 liter to lose some percentage of, maybe 10 to 15%, depending on the day. But the electric motor doesn't lose anything. So you guys at sea level, you lose less. So you notice kind of a less of a difference because the electric motor isn't compensating as much as it does up here. So having turbos, having an EV powertrain really makes cars feel way faster at altitude than just a gas-powered vehicle would. So it is cool that this is like that for me, but I know most people don't live at altitude, so it's going to be even less impressive for you guys than it probably is for me. And then issue number 6 is, unlike the 2026 and newer Subaru Outback, which has a redesigned infotainment system, this still has the 11.6-inch diagonal screen, which doesn't work fantastically well. It is kind of glary, especially on camera, and then you do have a screen protector right now, so it looks especially bad. But the backup camera, I'm glad it's there, but it's not fantastic. The screen overall can sometimes be slow, can be a little bit laggy. I will say, though, that this 2025 is a lot faster than my 2022 formerly owned Outback was, and it does seem to get better every year. And then the instrument cluster, or the equivalent in here, is actually pretty cool. You can see the toggle switch goes through the bottom left area, go through all of your info there. And then if you hold down information, it goes through each of the main display changes. So it is pretty cool. This is a big upgrade, even though you might not like digital displays over analog. This actually seems to be pretty cool, and I like it more than I thought I would. But this is still the opposite of class leading. It's not great. It might look decent when it's clean, when the piano black isn't scratched or dirty, which can easily happen, but it's just not the best infotainment system. The Hondas and the Toyotas have a better system, and I think even the American cars do too. And then the seventh and final issue is this is an all-new powertrain, especially for the United States market. Sure, some European countries have had hybrid Foresters for a while, and in the past we have had the first and second generation hybrid Crosstrek, but that was a pretty different system compared to what this is. So we don't know how reliable these are going to be long-term. I would assume Subaru plays it pretty safe, especially with Toyota's tech and their involvement, and Toyota also historically has played things pretty safe. But something like the RAV4 hybrid, which has been out for 7 years, something like the CR-V hybrid in its current iteration, which is now in its third model year, those are pretty well proven. This thing isn't. So while I expect this to be very reliable, and it does have a warranty, and you can easily buy a Subaru Gold Member extended warranty, we just don't know how these are going to hold up and what issues they potentially are going to have. One of the things it does have going for it, if you are one of the early adopters of the hybrid Forester, is this was assembled in Japan, so that is historically known to be probably the best assembly plant of any place. Next is America, next is the other countries that we outsource to for cheaper labor. But this, while being built in Japan, while being a collaboration that's been in the works for a long time, it's probably going to be reliable, but we don't know for sure, and we don't know what silly little issues and gremlins are going to pop up on this platform like they do on every platform. Ultimately, guys, I think the Forester and the Forester Hybrid are probably a pretty safe bet overall. Nothing's perfect, everything has its flaws, and if my list of 7 issues or 7 concerns didn't scare you away, then maybe this might be the right vehicle for you. But I always recommend you test drive what you're interested in, as well as the competition and a few vehicles that you aren't interested in, just to reinforce what the vehicles do well, what they don't, because every vehicle has its own strengths. Every vehicle has its own weaknesses. This vehicle really has a lot of good things going for it, but it's not perfect. It does make a few sacrifices, and it does have a few areas that it falls short compared to the competition, but it also has a few areas that it makes up for that, and you'll hear about those in the 7 things I love about the Forester Hybrid video, which will be coming out soon. So anyways, guys, I want to hear your thoughts and your opinions. Do you like the Forester Hybrid? Do you not? Would you buy it? Do you have other concerns with this platform? Do you agree or disagree with my list? Let me know all that stuff down below. And then if you got anything out of this video, please consider liking it. Comment those thoughts again and subscribe if you haven't already. Otherwise, I wish you guys the best. I hope you take care and good luck in your decision-making process. See ya.